Welcome to the African bushveld. We are a mere 5 feet away from one of the most elusive big cats in the world. This is safariLIVE.
Confirm you're going live.
No way! The big male baboon's chasing her. Remember, you are watching this live.
What did you see? We gotta be quite careful with these guys.
Unfortunately, I think this is the end.
You have your fire! Look at the nose! There's a herd of zebra.
This is the most epic thing in the world, ever.
Good afternoon and welcome to Africa. You are on a live safari. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Africa. Like I was saying, you are on a live safari here in a life of magnificent abundance and beauty, a place where Africa's iconic wildlife thrives. It's 85 degrees centigrade or so. There's a gentle northwester blowing, and over the course of the next 2 hours, we're hoping to show you some magnificent things. You've already seen a leopard. My name is James Henry, and I'm going to be operating from the safari tent, the world's most beautiful office. Now, we are operating in the northeastern corner of the world's most beautiful country. That is South Africa. And there is the Kruger National Park, 8.5 million acres of untrammeled wildlife wilderness wonderland. It's a magnificent, magnificent spot that we are very privileged to call home. Now, out in the field, you've already met the slightly feral fellow that is Brent Leo Smith. Jamie Patterson, ultimately elegant and poised, is looking for the smaller, young animals that have just been born. Stefan Winterboer is knocking about on his fairly substantial size 11 shoes. He's a bit of mixture, part Conan the Barbarian, part Jean-Claude Van Damme. He'll be showing you some survival tactics and perhaps looking under the odd rock or log for scorpions and things like that. Before I go across to Jamie, please understand you are the most important part of what we're doing here today. Hashtag safariLIVE is how you get hold of us on Twitter. You can ask us questions anytime during the show. Send us your comments. It would be lovely to hear from you. Right, without further ado, let us go across to Jamie Patterson and see how her afternoon is progressing.
Hello and welcome on a live safari adventure from right in the middle of the African bush. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have VM on camera with me, and together we are wandering about the roads of Djuma to see what exciting things we can find you. We've just experienced a full night and morning of heavy rainfall, which of course for us is absolutely wonderful, because with the rain out comes all kinds of exciting things, and this is the perfect time for you to be on a safari from the middle of the bush. You've already seen Brent is with those leopards. We're going to be searching for some of the smaller things, as James said. Little baby impala, little baby antelope. It's one of my favorite times of year to be out here, and I'm so glad that we can share it with all of you. And there you go. There is an impala off in the distance. That one definitely does not have a baby, for that is a male impala standing staring at us. Now, the male impala have been thoroughly entertaining over the last few weeks, because the females, while they've all been either very heavily pregnant or going into labor, are obviously producing some very confusing hormones. Now, impala have a strict breeding season where they only breed at a specific time of year. And what's happened now is that the impala, instead of thinking that they should be rutting in May, they're actually thinking that now is the time to rut and mate with the females. So they've been running around chasing the females, chasing each other, and just generally being a little bit of a pain, I think, where the females are concerned. And with very little payoff, because all of the females are either pregnant or have tiny little babies with them. And I can't wait to show you your first baby impala. Let's see if this gentleman is all on his own. No. He is all on his own, hiding away. Perhaps he's been kicked out. So while we search for baby impala and other small things, let's head over to Steph, who is the master of small things.
Good afternoon and welcome to the bushwalk part of this safari. I am Stef Winterboer, and yes, we are on foot at the moment in exactly the same place that Brent and Jamie are driving around in, here at the Kruger National Park. You might be asking yourself, what are we doing walking around in a place where there's leopard and lion and elephant, rhino and buffalo? Well, to be quite honest with you, walking around in Africa is one of the best best ways of exploring it. And over the next couple of hours, we're going to be taking you on a bit of an adventure to show you what I love. And I love looking underneath branches, looking into trees, and showing you a few different things to what you can expect to see with Brent and Jamie. Now, I am interactive. I have got communication with the outside world, and I invite you to obviously talk to me via that communication. It's the hashtag safariLIVE, and you're welcome to send through any questions, any comments, any feelings that you have that are relevant to what we're looking at, and we'll discuss them with you, anything that we see. Now, it is live, this, and about as live as what, well, how do I put this? I don't know what we're going to see any more than what you're going to see over the next 2 hours. So everything's going to be a bit of a surprise for both of us. What am I hoping for? Well, down there in the valley, there is some pans which are just hollows filled with some water. And what I'm planning on doing is walking there to see if there are any buffalo or elephant having a bit of a mud bath. On a day like today, this beautiful, beautiful sunny day, they are going to be getting hot, and the best way to cool down is to put some mud on them, and that's what I'm hoping to go and do. So we're going to make our way slowly towards those wallows. But before I do that, I want to ask you a question, which you can obviously answer via that hashtag safariLIVE, and we'll go through some of your answers now. If you were walking around in the bush here with me and we came across that mating pair of leopard, what would you do? Would you stand and look at that leopard, or would you turn your head and walk away? Those are the two options. Stand and look, turn or walk away. Get those answers through to that Twitter handle, and let's discuss it when you come back here next time. In the meantime, Mr. Henry in his tent is waiting to say hello or show you something fantastic, so we'll catch up with you down there.
Now, one of the things that we do here in the tent is look microscopically at things through, ironically enough, a microscope. Now, I have a competition over here for you. Well, it's more of a quiz than a competition, for you shall win nothing but accolades from my voice, should you get the quiz correct. Now, under this microscope, I have an astoundingly terrifying creature. Those are its fangs. Now, I would like you to tell me what you think this is. Hashtag safariLIVE is how best to get hold of us. In fact, it's the only way to get hold of us. If you have a carrier pigeon, give it a rest. It doesn't need to come this way. So I will reveal what is under the microscope there in a little while. Now, Brent was with the magnificent Tingana and the queenly Karula. They are 2 of 3 of our favourite leopard characters, and we'd like to introduce you to the third and give you a little bit of history on the other 2 now.
3 magnificent leopards call our piece of wilderness home. Karula, Tingana, and Shadow. One of our favourite characters is Karula. She is a 12-year-old leopardess who defines success as a mother and as a huntress. Karula has raised 8 cubs to independence and, in February 2016, gave birth to another litter.
Guys, Karula has brought her cubs to Juma. We've been tracking her. Look at the little guy. We just came around the corner. We're just going to keep very still. Isn't this amazing? Oh my goodness, isn't this exciting?
It has been a privilege and a joy to watch these 2 little cubs go from helpless furballs to perfect adolescent leopards. Their father, Tingana, is a 9-year-old male. This imposing prince of cats is the dominant male leopard of our area and the father of Karula's new cubs. Shadow, at 9 years old, is Karula's oldest daughter, and her story is far more tragedy than it is triumph. Unlike her mother, Shadow has yet to raise a cub to independence. There could be many reasons for this, ranging from hormonal imbalances to just plain bad luck. Her latest cub, a little female, was born in March 2016. We met this young leopard only twice before Shadow was seen mating again with Tingana. It is almost certain, therefore, that the new cub is dead.
And you can see why they are so elusive. Look at that. As we pull out from where that male leopard is sleeping, he disappears into the shade, and It is an incredibly beautiful afternoon here in South Africa. My name is Brent Leo Smith, and I have my very good friend Brian Joubert on camera with me today. And of course, he's got his four-leafed clover thumb, and the luck is with us. Look at that. We have these incredible leopards. Did I say these? And yes, we do not have but one. We have two of the most elusive creatures in the world, and with a very, very cool story happening behind it. But before I delve deeper into it, because I'm sure there are going to be questions about it, remember this is 100% live from the middle of the African bush, and you are able to ask us questions by using the hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. Also, let me know where you are watching from. Now, this is a mating pair of leopards. Not only are we seeing this incredibly elusive cat, but we're seeing two of them, and hopefully we're going to be seeing some action on this safari. Now, this female who we've got in frame at the moment, her name is Karula. And you've learnt a little bit about Karula. She is the dominant female leopard in this area, and one of the stars of safariLIVE, one of the females whose life we follow day in and day out. And the male we started with is Mr. Tingana, the big boy, the big daddy around here. He's a massive leopard weighing probably about 200 pounds, double the weight of the female. Let's go have a closer look at him. He's just lying through there. And as you can see, these leopards are so habituated to the presence of our game drive vehicles that they let us get incredibly close to them. Hello, Mr. T. And he hasn't even opened his eyes. Now, this is a really interesting scenario, as I was saying to you. Now, we've got Karula, who's mating with Tingana. They've been mating for about 3 days now, and Karula has two 10-month-old cubs, Hosana and Xongile. Normally, she wouldn't be mating this early. The only reason she would be mating this early is if those cubs were killed or disappeared. Now, however, they have not, and that leads me to Michael's question. Michael would like to know, are Hosana and Xongile okay? And as far as we know, I've heard Hosana was seen this morning to the south of us. He seems fine. I've had no word on Xongile. So it really, really baffles us at the moment. There could be multiple reasons. Some people think female leopards will come into a false estrus and start mating with a male if they think that their cubs are under threat. I'm not 100% sure this is the situation. She is getting quite old. Karula is nearly 12 now, so she could be, her hormones might start acting a bit differently. This is probably her last or second to last set of cubs. She might have just lost them for a few days, and maybe she thinks that they are dead even though they're not. So this is going to be a really interesting thing to watch. At the moment, it's really hot out here. It's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So not much action happening. But the nice thing about leopards when they're mating is they normally, on average, mate every 10 to 15 minutes. On average, but when it's hot like this, 85 degrees Celsius, you probably find they're going to mate once every half an hour. But the wonderful thing about being live, it's completely unpredictable. We cannot script what's going to happen next, so they could get up in the next 10 seconds for all we know. Now, hello Heather, who is in DC. Heather is asking, at what age do leopard cubs normally leave their mother? Now, it is very dependent, Heather, on the specific leopard and on the specific things that are happening around it. But if we take it out as averages, they normally, a female leopard cub will normally leave at around 15 months, between 12 and 15 months, and they will become independent. The amazing thing is the female leopard will actually give away a core part of her territory. Oh, he looked like he was about to hug the branch he was sleeping on, and she'll give away a core part of her territory to her female cub, so she has a much easier start in life. Now, the males will normally hang around a bit longer till they're about 2 years old, and then they'll be chased away by their mother and their father normally. And the reason they're chased away from their home range that they've grown up in is so that they don't end up mating with their sisters. So they can even end up as far as 100 miles away from where they were born. And it's nature making sure that the genetic diversity in these incredible cats stays good. Now, we are going to sit right here. We're not going anywhere, and I'm very, very excited to see what happens next on this drive with these incredible leopards. Now, of course, there's not only leopards out here, and Jamie has got a creature that this particular male leopard is a huge fan of hunting.
We've definitely found a creature that wants to avoid a male leopard. Oh, hold on. They are dashing off, actually straight in the direction of where Brent is with those leopards. Be careful, little warthogs. That is not a direction that you want to go in. But yes, we have encountered supposedly one of the ugliest creatures that we see out here in the African bush. I disagree. I actually think they're lovely, and they're always thoroughly entertaining. Now, earlier on at the start of our live safari, I spoke about the fact that we were going to be searching for little creatures on this afternoon safari, the things that come out after the rain and at this time of year. Now, the warthogs, just like the impala that we saw earlier, are starting to give birth, and VM and myself were fortunate enough just a few hours ago, just moments before our live safari, we were fortunate enough to have a chance to see the first tiny piglets that I've seen this year, and that warthog piglets are only about this big. Now, there's a specific reason why we say that these chaps would want to avoid Tingana in particular. And there they go. Let me try and get you one last view. They are disappearing off into some relatively dense vegetation. Now, there is a reason that they would want to avoid Tingana, and that's because a lot of leopards have a speciality. And they're always opportunists, and they'll always go after any available prey. But it seems as though, particularly with Tingana, bye-bye warthogs, thanks for giving us a brief view. Particularly with leopards, some of them specialize in certain hunting techniques, and Tingana loves to climb into warthog burrows and catch the inhabitants therein. And that's actually a very dangerous thing to do, because warthogs have incredibly sharp tusks. Not so much the top ones, but the lower ones are razor sharp. But it's something that Tingana has perfected and that we've seen him do on multiple occasions. He's also a very, very patient male leopard. He's very good at sitting at the entrances to burrows and watching and waiting for the nocturnal creatures or the diurnal creatures to come out or go in. Right, there's more than one way of looking at the wildlife out here, and I would like to introduce you to a very special perspective.
Right, I'm going to tell you about the warthog and the leopard just now. Whoops, we just lost a tooth there. That's no problem. Okay, we have an incredible view here from a mongoose eye level. There it is. This is my good friend Ronald the Rover, and I'm just going to get him to wiggle hello to you. There we are. And he's looking at an Egyptian goose who is looking at him with a sense of deep suspicion. As you can see, this is a little waterhole, and I will show you both of them from the dam camera. There we are. There is Ronald. Ooh, now you see he's got a very brand new uniform on there. He's showing it to you now. And you'll recognize the brand, no doubt. And he's very proud of it, and therefore he is showing it to you. Now you can see that he is hoping to find some kind of interaction with the wildlife here. You can see some terrapins moving around. They're like freshwater turtles that knock about eating the invertebrates that are eating the algae in that fairly sort of, what shall we say, rancid pond. And then, way above, Drone Commander Connor Teagues is flying his drone. And there we are. That is Duncan the drone's view. And you can just see bottom middle of your screen is where Ronald is. And he's looking over that little pan with the terrapins, and shortly a three-banded plover, and also some Egyptian geese are. And so these are two pieces of technology that we are using to increase our understanding and entertainment of the wilderness. So we've got a wonderful view of things at low lie. Oh, there we can see top left is the drone. There we go, he's gone away now. And then from way up at the top, of course, we get in a wonderful view of different animals. And the idea behind all of this is that we don't startle animals at all, but we get a different perspective of them completely. Right, we're going off for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with those leopards shortly. And who knows what Jamie and Steph are going to find. See you shortly. Right, internet viewers, no longer is this a rehearsal, you see. Take a breather. Okay, good. Now, let's just get things all together. Now, of course, those of you watching on the internet, our most loyal viewers, it's wonderful to have you with us. I cannot wait to get out there again and discuss with you intimately the details of why it is that Karula is mating with Tingana again. It's certainly thrown all of my theories about Shadow possibly into, certainly into, if not out of the window, they've certainly thrown them into doubt. Now, I'm not going to reveal just yet the answers to my quiz under the microscope. Many of you, of course, will know what I'm looking at, given your experience in the wilderness. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you an absolutely enormous dung beetle. Here we are. He is not coming out of here, of course. He smells, well, I imagine that if hell has a smell, it's probably not unlike this dung beetle smells right now. He's been dead a while. There we are. And you can see that his spade-like head, and his spade-like head, of course, used to dig for dung and dig the hole that eventually, or this could be a female, dig the hole that eventually she will lay her eggs in. I think they are just the most wonderful creatures, mainly when they're alive, though, and not smelling quite like this one is. Oh, that is dreadful, truly dreadful. Now, come outside with me. I'm going to try something quickly with you because I need to test it before we go back to the internet. David, where's my box? Hang on, wait there for me. I'm just here. Here I am. Hello. Now, what we have here are 2 Franklin's eggs, and I've got 2 of them, and I wanted to open them up on the TV audience, but I don't want it to. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to do it, so I'm going to give you a sort of sneak preview of what we're going to do. I think there might be a chick in them. They certainly were abandoned. Okay, here we go. Are you ready, everybody? David, I'm a bit worried about this. Doesn't look like there's a chick in there. That looks like a fried egg to me. Right, okay, good. Well, that's excellent news. I'm quite pleased that a little chick didn't come out of there. Perfect. Right, we'll prepare the next egg for when we come back to the TV. In the meantime, Steph is finding things on foot. Let's go and find out from him how far he's got.
Linking. All right, now, you know, for the last couple of days, I've been watching how this elephant dung reacts to moisture. And it is actually quite incredible how, even though it was pouring with rain this morning, the outer layers of these elephant dung, this was the outside of the elephant dung, you can see there by that covering there, are significantly drier already with only about an hour or 2 of sun than the inside layers, which are still quite wet. You can see there. And what I'm saying about that is I think that this elephant dung is a lot more porous than what you give it credit for, which is weird because you'd expect the inside of the elephant dung to hold a lot less water than the outer layers would, especially after some rain, wouldn't you? I mean, that would make sense to me. But in this particular instance, it's the outer layers that dry off quicker, noticeably quicker than what the inside layers do, which is just phenomenal for me, which is a good thing for us, at least anyway, because these things obviously make my fire making a lot easier. Now, we are going to be joined by our TV audience in a little bit, but I have got a surprise at my feet for you, so don't go anywhere, and we will be talking about the surprise that I have at my feet, but we're also going to be talking about an answer that I pitched to everybody a little bit, answer to a question I pitched a little bit earlier. What would you do if you met a leopard in the bush, or a pair of leopards in the bush for that matter of fact? Stay and look at them, turn around and walk away. Welcome back from your break. I hope it was enjoyable. What we've been doing over the last couple of minutes is making our way through to that pan. But before we get there, I bumped into something. It always happens when you're out here in the African bush on foot, is you get sidetracked by a million different things. But before we go down to this little surprise I have at my feet over here, I just want to go over the answer to the question that Cindy, which was kind of you to send in. The question was, what would you do if you met that pair of leopard that Brent is with in the bush? Would you turn around and walk away, or would you look at them and obviously try and face them down if they were quite angry. Well, Cindy, you got it 100% right. You see them, but you don't acknowledge leopard. You acknowledge lion, but you don't acknowledge leopard. So leopard, the best idea is to just avert your eyes and to slowly create distance. So you avert your eyes, you slowly create distance. When you can, you don't turn your back to a leopard ever, but you can turn sideways and you can walk a considerable distance away. And why that is because leopard really enjoy being hidden. They like to be concealed, unlike a lion. A lion, you have to stare at. So a lion, you've got to stare them right in the barrel, and you've got to scream, shout, clap your hands. You don't avert your eyes from a lion whatsoever. You maintain eye contact. So when you're stuck next in Africa and you're surrounded by leopard and lion wanting to kill you, now you know what to do. But let's go back to what I actually found you over here. And we've got some impala dung that is being slowly worked over by dung beetles. Now these are the quintessential African insects, these dung beetles. This is a male dung beetle, a plum-colored dung beetle. You'll see now in the sun where he gets his name from. There you go, you can see that plum color. I've now disturbed him on his little piece of dung. He's orientating himself to the sun, and there off he goes. That is a food ball, and I know that because it's big. It's small. The bigger the ball, the more food is inside there, and they roll pieces of dung like this for a couple of reasons. This is food, but when they're rolling a big one, it's called a nuptial ball. He'll actually court a female dung beetle with his nuptial ball. They will then roll it away, as he is trying desperately to do right now, and they will bury it together. She then lays an egg on it and spends a few days nursing her egg, and then basically leaves it alone for the larvae to hatch and eat the dung and basically come out when it's ready, when it's an adult. Now dung beetles make up some of the strongest organisms on Earth, and by strongest I mean, in the mammals, a full-grown silverback gorilla can probably lift about 10 times his own body weight. In this little insect world, there is a species of dung beetle that can lift over 1,000 times their own body weight. That is absolutely incredible, considering an elephant can only lift about 2.5 times their body weight. Silverback gorilla, 10 times his own body weight. Dung beetle, over 1,000 times their own body weight. Just have a look at this little guy. That is so cool. What he's doing is taking the dung beetle away from the source of the dung so that he isn't out-competed. He will then bury it and eat it and spend the rest of the day probably looking for some more dung to roll. Have a look at that. Have a look at how strong. Whoops. Now you might be wondering, am I going to wash my hands before dinner? I'll probably wash my hands within the next couple of seconds, to be quite honest with you. This particular dung though is from an impala, and being herbivores, not that dangerous to handle. I would not handle the dung from a predator. So one of those leopard that Brent is with, there are dung beetles that roll up their dungs or their feces, their scat, and I would not touch that with my bare hands. There's just way too much bacteria there. But impala dung, not too much of a problem. Nice, eh? All right, we're going to let this dung beetle carry on. All right, we're not going to just go away. Don't forget, we are coming to you live from Africa. Every now and again, things happen. Let's see if he holds on over here. Very cool. I'm going to stop playing with my piece of dung and my dung beetle. I think it's probably have enough. All right, why don't we go see what James is up to in his tent.
I've set up a small experiment here, everybody. We found an egg recently, the egg of a Natal francolin, which is a sort of small ground-dwelling bird, can fly, runs very fast, of course. And what I'm going to do is open that egg up for you now. I don't know what's in it. It was abandoned. This wasn't robbed from a nest, so don't worry about that. It is entirely sort of ethically harvested from an abandoned nest. It's sounding a little liquid, but let's crack it open and see what it looks like. It's about, you can see, about the size of, half the size of a chicken's egg. Here we go. And much the same as a chicken's egg. Well, it's filled with yolk and albumin. I was hoping there might be a chick in there, not because I have a macabre sense of humour, but rather because it would have been quite interesting to have a look and see what it looked like. Anyway, that was an interesting egg. That was supposed to stand upright. There we go. Excellent. On we go. Come back inside here, everybody. Now we have the answers to the quiz, of course. One person got it correct. Fenwick, you said that this, under the microscope, was a centipede, and you were, of course, absolutely correct. There it is. Now, I don't know how many of you think that the centipede is an attractive animal. I'm certainly not one. And when I moved out here some 15 years ago, it was from the city, and I had no idea about creepy crawlies and things. In fact, I had absolutely no idea about the wilderness in any shape, way or form. And I was terrified of just about everything. Spiders and dung beetles and moths and things that would crawl on me during the night. And over time, I've become completely sort of oblivious to the others. I quite enjoy the feeling of moths crawling over my body in the night. It's a bit like a sort of a tickly spa treatment, if you like. But this creature, this beastly thing here, I have never got used to. And they do possess a poisonous bite, or venomous bite. They'll bite you on the toe, and it will be very, very painful, probably cause you to swear very violently indeed, or make a very unmanly noise. And then what would happen is your toe would probably go numb for a while. Wouldn't do any lasting damage, but that's quite interesting. So that's the disgusting, fairly foul centipede. We're going to throw him out there and hope that something more appreciative of his talents eats him. So thank you, Fenwick, very much for your answer. It was indeed a centipede. Now, Jamie Patterson is sitting down in the south of the reserve with something quite closely related to you and I.
And so closely related to us that sometimes it's a little bit uncanny valley. For those of you that have just joined us, my name is Jamie, and this afternoon I set out to find some of the smaller things, and we have definitely found one of the cutest and probably one of the most mischievous creatures on this particular reserve. Now, somewhere in this troop of vervet monkeys, there is a mother with a very, very, very tiny baby. I don't want to turn on the vehicle or look at them going for the berries using their hands. What have you got there? You look like you've got a mushroom, mister. Sorry, madam, not mister. Looks as though they've got, looks like a mushroom or something similar. Some kind of a fungus. Now, as I said, there is a very tiny little baby, and I don't want to turn on the vehicle because I don't want to scare her off. So hopefully if we sit here patiently for just a little while and watch these gorgeous monkeys grabbing at the berries, which, by the way, are also edible for humans. They're known as white berries, and they are quite delicious. I absolutely love watching vervet monkeys, but I have to confess that it's only been in the last few years that I've really come to appreciate them for what they are. I spent most of my childhood in South Africa visiting various resorts, various holiday areas, and different places where there are monkeys. And they are incredibly troublesome little creatures. They will very often, they get very used to people very quickly. And when I was a small child, I was chased on more than one occasion by monkeys, which when you're 4 years old, look a lot bigger than they actually do now. I think I just saw Mom pop out. She's hiding the whole time. She's got such a tiny little one that it's clinging onto her belly. Look closely, that's her. Ah, and there she goes over the ridge. All right, let's head over to Brent. His leopards are up.
Okay, look at this. She's initiating the mating process. This is leopard flirting. You see how she positions herself? She flops against him, head rubs him. Now she's lying, positioning herself for mating. Listen to this now. unbelievable. That was incredible. Now that just happened 5 feet from us. Now she's laying on her back, and it's very typical behavior of cats after mating. It's trying to make sure insemination takes place, and isn't that amazing? Now, as you saw, it's actually quite a violent process. Now, the male cat's penis is barbed, and that is another reason it is quite painful. So it's there to help ensure that she becomes pregnant, and that is amazing. That's happened just next to us. This is live from the Kruger National Park, South Africa, 8.5 million acre unfenced wilderness. These are completely wild cats. They are not tame at all. If you were on foot, they would probably run away or get a little bit upset with you. This is nature at its most raw, happening live right in front of you from South Africa. And now, the calm after the storm. Now, the reason he bites the back of her neck during mating is to ensure she can't turn around and... see, she can be a bit grumpy after mating. It's not a very pleasant thing for her, even though instinct completely drives her to do it constantly. Now, as I was saying, so she'll often be snarling like that, and then what she will do is, as he disengages from her, that's where the real pain is. And what happens there is she jumps around and gives him a good whack. And you saw that happen there. Now, the longer they mate for, the less violent that is. But it also just depends. Sometimes it is just very, very, very violent. Oh, she's still grumpy after that. Oh, it looks like she's might be ready to mate again. Now, Joyce in DC is wondering, is it the mother that leaves the cubs or the cubs that leaves the mother? Now, Joyce, that completely depends. Joyce, I am going to answer your question, but she is flirting again. It looks like they're going to mate again. This time they've opted for a bit of privacy. Isn't that incredible? How incredible are those sounds? Absolutely amazing. Now, sorry, Joyce, I was a bit sidetracked from your question there. And there you go, you see she's just still snarling into the ground. Okay, Joyce, I'm back with you. Joyce, it depends on the situation. Normally the female cubs will leave the mom by choice. The male cubs normally have to be pushed out. They don't like leaving their mommies. Female leopards become independent at a much younger age than the males. And, oh, look at that. I think he got a good whack there. It looks like he might be licking a wound. Now, so during the mating process, the males can get a few nicks and scratches. I thought I saw an open wound on his side there. I'll keep a lookout. Now, isn't this absolutely incredible? And can you believe this is happening live from South Africa? So where you are sitting at home in the US enjoying these incredible cats live. Now, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to be sticking right with these amazing cats. But we are going to be going into a break quickly. So if you need a cup of coffee or you need to go to the loo, now is the time. Now, she's still snarling at him. Now, even though she initiates most of the mating, she can still be grumpy afterwards. Let's just see what happens here. You can just see that snarl coming through. Okay, remember, this is happening live. We're going to be right here when you get back. I'm not leaving these leopards, so we will see you just after the break. Well, guys, isn't this absolutely amazing? And still, Karula is still grumpy, even though she's initiating the mating. And it is really hot and humid today. It rained this morning quite heavily, so much so that we even had to cancel our rehearsal. Oh, Mr. T, is she giving you a hard time? It is incredible to obviously have all of you with us every day, and I know you guys get just as excited for TV shows as we do. Brian and I were chatting about it, and of course, since it is an advertisement break in theory, we are selling luck today. If you are feeling lucky, you can purchase your luck at the Thumb. There's the 4-leafed clover, the Lucky Thumb, and it's definitely worked today, Brian.
It has indeed.
It has indeed. The Lucky Thumb is working very well, and it is incredible. So I found them yesterday during the middle of the day when I was out tracking near Red Dam. And then we followed them for most of yesterday's rehearsal. And then I went back to that area to look for them this morning, and I had their tracks. And then I got the call from Jamie that they were actually on Djuma, and I was following old tracks. But then the rain came, and of course we've got an incredible team. So we've had Fanuti and James and Solly, our trackers, who have been sitting with them all day. Oh, she nearly bit his tail. His tail flicked near her, and I thought she was going to bite it for a second. Oh, stretch. Now I think it's going to calm down a little bit here. They've mated twice in quick succession, and of course we don't want to keep you away from James and his new toy. Well, it's not so new toy, but he's definitely mastering the art of Ronald. Oh, Karula, grumpy today.
Karula is a little grumpy, isn't she? Well, hopefully she will calm down. I mean, this should be the time of her life that she's very happy, full of the joys of summer. She's got love. She's got healthy children. There's no reason for her to be so nasty and grumpy about life at all. Is there, David?
No.
Not at all. Now, especially not when she's on TV. Ronald has got a friend. He's got a terrapin friend or two. You can see them knocking about, but there is also, I'm just going to try and move him, there's a 3-banded plover who has clearly taken some... Oh, there it is, 3-banded plover. You just saw it land there. Maybe we can... Are we able to look at the dam? Oh, yes, we are, at the dam camera. There we go. There is Ronald, and you can see all the terrapins looking at him there. Isn't that cool? I really think that is the most wonderful shot. All the terrapins frolicking about there in the summer mud, in amongst the algae, eating all the invertebrates. They're having a whale of a time in there, in that disgusting pond. Really, I'm glad I don't have to swim in there, but, well, you know, if you're a terrapin, I suppose it must be something like paradise. Gorgeous. Oh, look, there's an Egyptian goose. Let's see if Ronald can see him. Ronald is just turning. There we go. Look at the gooses. Silhouetted against the western horizon. That is a couple, everybody. Mr. and Mrs. Jippo Goose. Deeply unpleasant to each other. They're not exactly a sort of... they're not a model of excellent harmony or marital bliss. Right now, everyone, but when we come out of this advert break, you won't believe what's going to happen, but we're going to have to greet everyone from the National Geographic headquarters. I feel quite nervous now, knowing that all of those people are watching. I've no doubt Ronald is terrified. You know, he'll want his uniform to be sprightly. We better turn him to the camera. Right, we have a minute left. Do I look right, David?
You look great.
Yes. I mean, these are essentially the people who buy our lunch for us. 30 seconds, everybody. There's some red-billed buffalo weavers outside the tent. We're not going to go and look at them. We're going to sit here. I sometimes think I should sit like this, David, before we go into TV, don't you? Good afternoon and welcome back on your live safari from the middle of the African wild. It's a great joy to have you with us. My name is James Hendry. Out in the field, the feral fellow, Brent Leo Smith with those, well, slightly upset leopards. Jamie Patterson has been with some monkeys, and Steph, well, who knows where on earth he is or what on earth he's doing. I'd like to bid a very fond welcome to all the people in the National Geographic headquarters watching this. Could I ask you all, please, to be just a little more quiet? We are trying to conduct a live safari over here, so if you could eat your drinks or eat your food and drink your coffee and slightly less noisily and pay a bit more attention, that would be much appreciated. Excellent, thank you very much. Now, I'm going to show you something very wonderful here. I am, of course, joking if you don't think that, if you didn't pick up on the sarcasm, you're allowed to talk in your canteen, at least in your headquarters. You're allowed to talk as much as you like. Now, what we have here is a fairly terrifying fellow. That is a baboon. We have not seen a baboon yet, but I just wanted to show you the size of it in relation to a monkey over here. There is a monkey. You've seen a monkey with Jamie. And you have seen leopards as well. Now, leopards love to eat monkeys. They also like to eat baboons if they can get them, but if you see them sitting next to each other like this, you can see that the baboon, this is a big male baboon, this is a female leopard. Extremely difficult for a leopardess to take a big male baboon, in fact almost impossible. So they have this kind of antagonistic relationship where the baboon recognizes the threat posed by the leopard to little baboons, and so a big male like this will chase leopards and chase them away. But a monkey stands no chance. And one of the ways that we find leopards very often is by monkeys making their alarm call. It goes... That is an appalling rendition of a monkey's alarm call, but that's what they do. And they can spot leopards from a long way away, and you can see that Karula, were she to desire a monkey for dinner, it would not be too hard for her to get one in her jaws and crack its skull. Well, on that slightly macabre thought, much more safely than this monkey is sitting within the jaws of this leopard, a monkey is sitting in a tree with Jamie Patterson.
Oh, lucky for these little monkeys, they are completely 100% leopard-free for now. Earlier on our live safari, I mentioned that I was going to try and find you a female monkey with a tiny, tiny baby, and we have got lucky in that we have. And this is the joy of these live safaris. We can't predict what's going to happen, we can't script it, but we can show you some of the most amazing things. And I'm just glancing over my shoulder to make sure she hasn't gone away. Earlier with James, you saw that skull of the monkey, so you get an idea as to just how tiny they are at full size. Now just picture how tiny the skull is of this tiny, tiny, tiny little baby. Look closely, you're going to see it. It has been shifting around, although I think it has fallen asleep in Mum's arms. And Sam in DC, oh cute, look, you can just see the top of its fuzzy little head. Sam in DC, welcome to our wonderful live safari adventure. You want to know if these are greater or lesser apes. They are old world monkeys, so they're definitely not great apes at all. We do get great apes in Africa, but not in this part of Africa, so not in South Africa. The only primates we really get out here, oh look at its little ear sticking out. It's so cute. The only primates we really get out here is the baboon. You saw the skull with James earlier, the vervet monkey, and the lesser galago or the greater galago, or the bush babies as they are more sort of colloquially known. Look at you. Look at Mom gathering the little one up. It's learning to climb. He's being a real handful this afternoon. Hello, little one. Peeking out at us from between the trees. This little baby monkey is only a few weeks old. He's still too small, he or she is still too small to stay with Mum in her, or to leave Mum's side or go too far away from his mum. He's going to stay with her the entire time. She carries him around on 3 legs, and she's got her job and her work really cut out for her. Around 50% of all baby monkeys die within their first year. Oh, it's just stuck. Just wait till you see this little chap's face. Look at it. You can infancy, learning to use its hands, just like those of you who have ever had children or you have grandkids or friends with kids and you've watched toddlers learning to use their hands. That's exactly what this little one's doing, exploring its world and, like every toddler, exploring its world by putting everything in its mouth. Oh, you're going to fall down. There's Mummy reaching a protective arm around it. Isn't it gorgeous? It looks really old for some reason. I mean, it is a very, very new baby, but it's so young that its skin's all wrinkly and it's got such a wise old expression on its face. And those gorgeous, perfect hands. Now remember, this is live and this is interactive, so you can, if you have any questions on this gorgeous little creature, you can send it through to hashtag safariLIVE. Look at the toes on the right, just sticking out. Oh, hello you with your little skinny limbs. And welcome to Dougie in Florida. While we watch our little baby attempt to climb around the trees, you wanted to know if they have taste buds similar to the ones that humans do. Yes, they do. The one thing you've got to be very careful of with monkeys, though, although they do taste in relatively similar ways, especially since it's geared towards taste buds that will enjoy the taste of fruit. It's probably they are not as sensitive as ours, though, because a lot of their brain space is rather devoted to senses of smell and hearing. But as I said, you've got to be very, very careful of, if you happen to see monkeys, if you happen to be in a survival situation, if you're stuck out here and looking for food, you have to be very careful because their digestive systems are different to ours. So things that are toxic to human beings might not be toxic to monkeys. So if you happen to see a monkey eating something, that doesn't necessarily make it safe for human consumption. You are too gorgeous, little one. How it is World Monkey Day today, and how very appropriate that we happen to welcome or to celebrate World Monkey Day by welcoming in Juma's newest monkey arrival. This baby, as I said, is only a few days, maybe a few weeks old, so it is very, very small and very much reliant on mum. Now, in the next few months and years of its life will change completely depending upon whether it is a female or a male. If it's a female, if this is her daughter, then it's going to be here for the rest of her life. She's going to spend most likely she's going to spend the rest of her life with her troop. And she will have inherited mom status. She'll have to fight for her place in monkey society. If she is a male, his life could end up ending up a little bit more scary, because males have to leave their homes and their troops. Oh, look at you, reaching out. Hi. Males have to leave their troops once they reach sexual maturity and go off in search of other monkey troops. And when they do find other monkey troops, their lives become even more difficult in that they are not exactly welcomed with opened arms. Luckily, this is not something that our little baby monkey has to worry about for a very, very long period of time. It's still got at least 2 years, and in fact, this female could end up suckling that little one for 2 years to come. Isn't that special? That is just too gorgeous. One of the tiniest baby monkeys that I've seen on Juma. Definitely less intimidating than I found them when I was 5 years old. Right, we're going to go and see what else we can find, but we touched upon the subject of survival out here. Let's head over to Steph for a tip or two.
Talking about survival, I hope that little baby monkey that Jamie was with manages to get through it. They're always the cutest things ever. I decided to wait for my hygiene routine and share it with you when I got to the pan. This is the pan that we were aiming at. As you can see, it's not filled with buffalo and elephant wanting to throw me into the water with them, which is, I suppose, a blessing in some sense. But I managed to collect 2 different plants on the way here to wash my hands with. This is the sesame and that is the devil's thorn. Doesn't look like much right now, as you can see. Dry and quite hairy. Definitely don't look like your average garden day salad. But what you can do is you strip off the leaves just like that. You bruise them a little bit like that. Then you mix them with a bit of water like that. And they make the most wonderful soap. You see inside there? All nice and gooey. It's called having saponins. It's this plant that's full of saponins, and they are used all over here as a traditional soap and shampoo and body wash. It feels like a very, very slimy body wash. That's what it feels like. But it's not the only thing that I want to share with you. Obviously, the rain that has filled up this pan has come with a bit of a double blessing, in that if you were stuck out here, if you were in a survival situations, for instance, and you came across this pan, it is too dirty to drink like it is, and you're going to have to come up with a way to try and sterilize it so that it doesn't have the bad things in it that'll make you sick and obviously dehydrate you further. To do that though, you've got to make a fire. Making a fire when everything's wet because it's been raining is also quite a difficult thing. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. Obviously, I'm not going to show you how to light a fire with a match or a lighter. I mean, I don't think I need to do that right now. So I'm going to show you some tricks that I've picked up over the years. Now, the best thing to do is to concentrate on your tinder, the dry material that you use for the fire. As you can see here, I'm using a bit of elephant dung. Now, elephant dung for me makes the absolute best tinder that there is. It's a bit wet at the moment, but I'm hoping that it takes like this. Don't forget that we are live, and this may or may not work. First thing I'm going to do is use a magnifying glass to concentrate the beam into the elephant dung. And let's see, should be some smoke fairly soon if it's not too damp. But if it's a little bit too damp, I've got another trick up my sleeve right here. So we'll give it 1 second or 2 seconds. There you go, you can see the smoke coming out. There we go. So that's pretty easy. Concentrated sunlight you can do in a number of ways. You don't just have to use a magnifying glass, although it's a lot of fun doing it with a magnifying glass, of course. You can use a broken bottle, piece of glass. You can even use some water in a plastic bag, although that art seems to escape me at this point. So once you've got a little bit of smoke, you just blow it gently. And you can coax a fire. Now that one's a little bit too small. I'm going to have to spend some more time on there, but I want to show you this other method that we can use as well. So breaking open your tinder, just like that. You can use some common first aid kit things as well. This is some Condy's crystals. Condy's crystals have been widely used for many years as a water purifier, so to help you purify the water. Also, as if you live in a place that has some snow, you can use it to do an SOS in the snow. And you can use it as a very handy antiseptic. You mix a little bit with water and you can use it as a foot bath. You can bath some wounds in it. So quite a common thing to find out in some survival kits. The other one is glycerine, which I keep in a little bottle like this, mainly to put on my head to act as a little bit of sun cream. As you can imagine, with a bonnet the size I have on top of my head, it gets burnt quite a lot. But when you mix the two together, which I'm hoping to do, I'm hoping that it works now, the glycerine and the Condy's crystals react, and let's see what we get. So fingers crossed that it works, keeping your tinder nice and handy. And voila, we have fire. Yes, please. All right. Once you're ready, you then put the rest of your tinder on top. I've also collected a snail shell, and the snail shell you can use to scoop up the water. You just want the top of the water. You don't want the whole column. Just want the top. This is a mighty big snail shell. And once full, you can then put onto your fire and boil for a couple of minutes, 3 or 4 minutes at a time. And you will have clean enough water to drink. How awesome is that? African Bush Survival 101 for you. All right. I don't think I'm needing to drink this water. Do you? I think it would be a much better to go and have a look at those mating leopard with Brent.
Now they're on the move, it's got a little bit cooler. Now what happens when a female leopard is mating with a male, she'll often move 3 or 4 territories over while the male goes on his territorial patrol. And if you guys have just joined us, my name is Brent Leo Smith. I've got my very good friend Brian on camera, and together we are the Killer Bees. And we love to show you killer sightings live from Africa. Let's keep up with these leopards. Now, they've started mating more and more frequently again now, and that's as it gets cooler. So on average over a day, every 15 to 20 minutes they'll mate, but when it's cooler they tend to mate more frequently. So during the heat they haven't been mating as frequently. Now that it's got nice, oh, it's only dropped a couple of degrees, it's still really hot, probably about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. They're out on the move. Now they have been mating for 3 days, and you can see that little concave section in the belly, and that's telling me that they are quite hungry. Both of them are starting to show it. Oh, it looks like she's coming back to try and mate. I'm going to just move behind a white berry bush. And remember, oh, they're looking for privacy. The hashtag. Oh, listen to that. Wow, amazing. Now remember, if you want to ask questions about these incredible leopards or any of the other amazing African wildlife you've been seeing on your very own privately guided live African safari, use the hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter, and we will get back to you. And hopefully these leopards, being a bit hungry, they are still mating. You never know what's going to happen. They could hunt. That is the most amazing thing about being on a live safari. We can't script it. We can't predict what's going to happen next. We just follow Africa's animals and let them be the star of the show. Now you can see he might have heard something. He stopped, he's listening. You can even see his ears, how they rotate every little bit. They have incredible hearing, leopards. And it is incredible to see them moving around in the daytime like this. So a lot of people think leopards are almost exclusively nocturnal, and in areas where they've been persecuted by human beings, they become very nocturnal. But in areas where they're protected from poaching and hunting, like where we are now, they actually can be very active during the day, even though they do prefer generally to hunt at night, as they have a slight advantage. Their prey species don't have as good a night vision as they do. Now we're with these wonderful, amazing big cats, but there are some incredible other creatures here, and it is summer. We've had incredible rains over the last few days, and summer in the African bushveld means babies, babies, babies. And Jamie has got some very fluffy, funny looking babies to show you.
Babies, babies, babies everywhere on this beautiful summer's day here in South Africa. And we've stopped by at one of our favorite parts of this reserve to have a look at our family of hardy-dar ibises that have 3 rapidly growing chicks, and poor mom is looking thoroughly harried there. Come on, little one. You've had your lunch already. Let her be. Pecking constantly. Somebody didn't have a chance to get a meal. Remember, all of this is happening right here and right now in the greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa, where 3 squabbling hardy-dar ibis chicks are pecking away frantically at their mom's beak. Now, if you have just joined us, my name is Jamie, and I owe you an apology because a little bit earlier on I said that it was World Monkey Day today, and that's just because I cannot keep track of the days out here. We don't really have any need to know which day of the week it is, so I don't never really know if it's Monday, Sunday or Wednesday. Every day is wonderful out here. It was in fact World Monkey Day yesterday, so my apologies for that. Let's go back to looking at our beautiful hardy-dars. I started off this this safari this afternoon talking about how I wanted to find some of the smaller things, and Brent is absolutely spot on. The lions and the leopards and the creatures like that we see out here, and elephants, those are all incredibly exciting, but there is so much to see out here, and that's the joy of our live safaris. There you go. Mom finally coerced into passing on whatever food she had stored in her crop. There you go, little ones. They're screeching away at her furiously. And Mom and Dad, both the male and the female hardy-dars, will feed and look after their chicks, and Mom and Dad have their work cut out for them. It takes roughly 40 days from hatching until these little hardy-dar ibises will be ready to fly and be fully independent. So everything's a bit of a rush out here if you're a bird, and that makes sense because while they remain flightless and nest-bound, they are incredibly vulnerable to predators, and the female and male hardy-dar ibis of twin dams have done exceptionally well in managing to keep 3 of their chicks alive. Oh, careful! You're about to fall off the nest. Don't do that. If a hardy-dar baby falls out of its nest now, it won't be able to get back up, and that will be the end of it. So they've got to make sure that despite their desire for food from Mom, they've got to be so careful. The number of times that I found a hardy-dar chick on the ground blown out of trees during my childhood in South Africa, actually more times than I can actually count. Oh, it does happen. Careful, little ones. Completely harassing Mom, begging away. Now, you might have noticed if you looked really closely that there is one chick that is slightly larger there, that one, the one that's getting fed, I think. There is one chick that is slightly larger than the other, and like with many bird species, being the first one to hatch is a massive advantage. They just have that slight head start. Oh, headbutt your sibling. That's rude. They just have that slight head start in terms of growth, and therefore they can be more boisterous about bullying Mom or Dad into giving them food and not food to their siblings. There's not much in it though. They're all looking particularly healthy. You can even see the flight feathers starting to develop. And very soon our little hardy-dar ibises will have grown up and quite literally flown the nest. All right, let us head over to James so that he can describe to you in greater detail exactly where we are.
What I wanted to do was just check how those poor hardy-dar babies must be feeling, sitting in what's got to be the world's most uncomfortable home. When I was a child, I always thought, well, you know, a bird's nest is a comfortable, soft place to sit. Well, I can tell you that the hardy-dar's nest is a very uncomfortable place. It's, well, certainly for me anyway. Now, just to give you a bit of an idea as to where we are in the world. We are sitting in the 8.5 million acre Kruger National Park, and we're on the western fringes thereof on a place called Djuma, a magnificent piece of land that we are so privileged to call home, and indeed so privileged to share with you. Just remember, we'd love to hear from you. #SafariLive, questions at wildearth.tv. Now, we have to go with a special game. It's called 2 Truths and 1 Lie. I'm going to give you 3 facts, everybody, one of which is going to be a blatant untruth. And it's going to be about leopards. You have to send through your answers, #SafariLive, fact 1, fact 2, or fact 3. Okay? Whichever one you think is a lie. Right, here we go. Let me prepare myself. Fact 1. Leopards are found from the southern tip of the African continent, all the way across the Middle East, down into India, up through Afghanistan, and into the far east of Russia. Fact 2. Leopards always hoist their kills into trees. Fact 3. Leopards are only successful about 50% of the time they stalk. There you go. That was very dramatic. Each of those facts, well, one of them's a lie, 2 of them are true. Send through your answers, #SafariLive, fact 1, fact 2, or fact 3. Now, we are going to show you a little bit about the anger that takes place when men fight over women. Take a look.
Throughout history, disagreements over mating rights have been the cause of violent conflict in our own species and in the natural world. From ancient Troy to the modern Western Kruger, testosterone-fueled males have fought recklessly for the right to father young. Horns and skulls crack together. Beaks peck and lock in mortal combat. claws and roars combine in a terrifying melee when a lioness comes into heat. But fighting for love can come with dire consequences for female and male. Once it's decided who's going to mate with whom, the conflict is far from over. For cats, a tender moment quickly turns into a ferocious rebuke.
What happened there was a little bit of increased aggression because I think his claw got hooked in her as they were trying to separate.
In nature, procreation leaves its mark, sometimes temporary, often permanent.
These leopards are still on the move. They've, thankfully for us, come out of the thickets, and they actually look like they're going to walk down a road. And this is a normal territorial march for both of these cats. So there she goes. And as I said, they are both looking quite hungry, and all predators are opportunists. So if they happen to come across an unsuspecting warthog or impala that hasn't heard the cacophony made by their mating, it could be some excitement yet. Okay, I need to try and keep up with them. So while we do that, now, I've been in the African bush for the majority of my life. I've lived in Big Five game country. Hold on, Brian. Oop, there we go. Jump over that log. Since I was 5 years old, my first memory is of elephants, but I've seen leopards mate many, many times, and I still get absolutely delirious with excitement every time I get to follow one of these incredible creatures, and being able to share it with you makes it just that much more special. And I've got quite a funny story about mating leopards. My mom wouldn't be too happy that I told it though. So we lived in northern Botswana for many years in the Okavango Delta, and while we were building the safari lodge, we had our tents, and we didn't have proper bathrooms on our tents yet, so we used to just brush our teeth in the dark outside. And the one night we were there with my mom brushing her teeth with my little brother, my dad was looking after the guests in the safari lodge, brushing, and then all of a sudden that noise happened in the bush about 20 meters from us. And I think I was about 12 or 13 years old at the time. My mother basically grabbed my brother and I by the scruffs of the neck and basically dragged us back into the tent. And me complaining, Mom, I want to see the leopards. Mom, I want to see the leopards. But anyway, my mother has had quite a life having to deal with the three men who are all bushmen in her family. There we go. Let's keep up with him. Let's get a bit closer. Now she's walking parallel to him, and I'm really hoping that they converge. There's a little water hole right here, so they might stop for a drink. Hi, Alicia, who's in Washington, D.C. Alicia is asking, don't they hunt when they're mating? Generally not, Alicia. Now, you've heard this incredible noise that they're making, and that sort of lets everything else know that there's leopards around. But they are opportunists. If something is not paying attention, stumbles into them, they definitely will hunt. All predators will take an easy meal if they get the opportunity to. Now, you've just heard Alicia ask a question. If you want to ask a question, remember the hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. Oh, I think they're going to mate again. There we go. She's going right out in the open, just like we were hoping for. Now just watch how he jumps. Hopefully he's going to do a spectacular jump this time. There we go. See that? Get away from those flying claws of the female. Now, we can't really see it now, but I did. There she is, lying on her back afterwards, trying to make sure insemination takes place. Now, as I said, quite often, the male can get quite badly injured during these love affairs. So it's not really a major injury, though. Normally some nicks and scratches, and a lot of these big cats and just in their day-to-day hunting, they get injured quite badly. So what is often considered a really bad injury for a human being is nothing to a big cat. Now, there's a voyeur watching the leopards. Brian, if we go up to that tree, there we go. There we go. There's our voyeur, the yellow-billed hornbill. He was watching the leopards. Didn't look too perturbed. He knows he's quite safe up there in the tree. There we go. And sometimes referred to as the flying banana, and for obvious reasons, that massive yellow beak. Well, off he goes. And Mr. Tingana has not even noticed, and he's heading on back towards the east. And Karula, oh, she stood on a thorn. Oh, she's got it out. So even the big cats stand on thorns. So they are adept at taking it out. Now, these are obviously some of the most incredibly powerful and ferocious big cats out here, second only to the lion. But there are lots of things that might bite you when you're not watching carefully. And the incredible Steph Winterboer on foot has found something that might put a little shiver in your spine.
There are quite a few things that will bite you when you're out here on foot. Not to mention that leopard that you were with, but we have a little snake inside here that I'd love to show you. It is a centipede eater, and you can just see, hopefully I can show you just a little bit inside there. There he goes. He's going to come out now. There he goes. There he is, little Cape centipede eater. Look at that. Not venomous for us, but deadly for centipedes. Now, centipedes are formidable foes, I must be honest with you, not. They are definitely not to be trifled with, but these snakes almost specialize just on centipedes. They hunt with their quite flat heads through the bark of trees and underneath the wood, and they bite the centipedes on the head, immobilizing those fangs that a centipede has. And they have got a mild venom. I'm just trying to think in my mind now. Mild venom, but they do tend to just overpower the centipedes and then swallow them whole. In some cases, centipedes are even just as big as what they are. But we found that literally as you were coming to us, but I wanted to actually tell you a story about one of my most dangerous encounters I've ever had in the bush, and I thought that I'd talk about a leopard. It just gives it some relevance to what you've been looking at with Brent. Now, one of my scariest moments with a male leopard, it only hit me afterwards, was I was tracking a male leopard. And in those days, I didn't really realize that male leopards tend to like big termite mounds. And there was a large tree, probably about as tall as this tree is in front of us. This is a knobthorn. In that particular case, it was a giant ebony tree. And we were walking up to the tree, following the tracks of the leopard. But the tracks of the leopard were not fresh. They were fairly old. And I looked at the termite mound and I thought to myself, oh, I can't see anything on top of that termite mound. And I got onto the termite mound, and I clearly remember thinking to myself, but if I was a leopard, I would climb onto the termite mound and I would see what is in my domain. And I walked onto the termite mound, didn't actually hear or see anything, stood on the termite mound. I even remember putting my hands in my pockets, and from above me, I heard branches breaking. And when I looked up, coming down the tree was this male leopard. He had been sleeping in the tree. He'd been sleeping obviously with his head flat on a branch covering all the sound. He had heard me walking up the termite mound. I think he was actually just planning on being still in the top of the tree, but it was too much for me to be on the top of the termite mound with him. And this male leopard came bounding down this tree, branch to branch to branch, and landed literally next to me. Where you are standing right now and where I am, that is where this leopard landed on the floor, ran down growling into the grass, and left me incredibly shaken. And why it's dangerous, leopard quite often hunt from a perch, and in particular they enjoy hunting primates from a perch because primates climb into the trees. So they hunt baboon and they hunt monkeys from a perch, and I just in my mind thought to myself, here we go, I'm going to be hunted by this leopard, and I could go nowhere. I tell you, I got off of that termite mound, my legs shaking like, I don't know, I couldn't even get back into my vehicle. I had to stand I had to stand and take a moment. I think they say take a. I don't smoke, so I didn't take a smoke break, but I suppose I could have done with a smoke break at that particular moment. Left me very shaky. Leopard ran off into the distance, didn't do very much after that. We managed to get a car in there and we saw them just like you're seeing with those. That's probably my scariest story with leopard. But now, some of you are going to be going off to a break. Don't go anywhere because we are going to be going back to those mating leopards and who knows what they're going to be getting up to. How scary was that story? Hey? I must be honest with you, that was probably one of my most hair-raising stories I've had. I had another one as well. This one didn't seem nearly as heroic as that one though. But what I'm going to do is catch up with you in that story probably at another time, since we're going to be going on safari quite a lot together over the next few years, I suppose. Anyway, without further ado, why don't you go and have a look at those leopard we're talking about with Brent. Catch up with you just now.
Yeah, well, we're still with the leopards as they are moving east. There's a lovely little river system in the middle. And there we go. It looks like he's going to scent mark. Marking his territory. This is one of Tingana's favorite routes through Djuma. We often find his tracks through here. Now, I'm going to see if there's an opportunity to actually get up ahead of them in the next little segment. There's a little road around. This is absolutely gorgeous light at the moment. We've got this magnificent sky off to the south of us. A monster thunderstorm building. And you can see all the cumulus clouds getting bigger and bigger and fluffier, like marshmallows or candy floss. What do you think, Brian? A mixture of marshmallows. That sounds quite delicious. A mixture of marshmallow and candy floss. If you would like a mixture of marshmallow and candy floss, of course, the only person who can provide it is the four-leafed clover thumb. So since we are in an advertisement break, marshmallow, candy floss, cloud, mixture, four-leaf clover thumb. That's the spot to get it. Oh, well, my plans to go around him have been thwarted because he's laying down in the road, but I'm going to go around him by not using the road. Okay, we're going to get round. Oh, it looks like Karula's coming to mate again. Sorry, Brian, I know it's a bit of an awkward angle. How's that? That's good. There we go. Getting slightly less and less aggressive. Now, I have seen a fresh cut on Tingana's right hand leg that I'm pretty sure is from his bout of mating with Queen Karula. It looks like he's almost hoping that there's going to be a scrub here or a baby Inyala in that thicket.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back, everybody, on your live safari from the western fringes of one of the world's most iconic national parks, that is the Kruger National Park. We've been with leopards today, we've been with warthogs and monkeys, and Steph has been boiling water in some kind of mollusk shell. My name is James Hendry, and you, as I said to you at the beginning of the show, are the most important part of what we do here. Hashtag safariLIVE is how you can get hold of us on Twitter, and just keep asking your questions and sending us your comments. Now, we had that very, very, very serious competition, 2 truths and 1 lie. Unfortunately for me, you're cleverer than I thought you were. I think fact 1, 31% of people said was incorrect. Fact 2, 46% of you said was correct. And fact 3, 24% of you said was incorrect. So fact 2 was in fact incorrect. Leopards do not always hoist their kills. The most interesting part of that whole quiz sort of malarkey was the fact that leopards are distributed from the cape of this country all the way past Vladivostok in Russia, and they are distributed in various sizes and shapes throughout basically the old world, and it's just great to have them there. Now, Jamie Patterson promised you she was going to find some small things, and she has not let us down. She's now with the very smallest of carnivores.
The smallest of all of the carnivores that we get out here on Djuma, and definitely hands down one of my favorite, and you are in for such a treat while we sit and watch this particular family of creatures. Hold on a moment, they're going to pop their heads out in a second. Each and every single morning when I wake up and I head out, if it is after sunrise, which is a rare but occasional occurrence, if I leave my bedroom before the sun rises, I have a chance to see these little creatures and I have a conversation with them. They are known as dwarf mongoose, and the amazing thing is, an adult dwarf mongoose is roughly, just to give you a sense of scale, is roughly the length of my forearm, and it weighs around 12 ounces. So they are tiny, tiny little creatures, but here's the special thing. This particular family of dwarf mongoose, one of my favorite, we know them as the treehouse dwarf mongoose. Look closely. They have 5 gorgeous little pups, and these are some of the smallest dwarf mongoose I have ever encountered in my entire guiding career. They are roughly, that must be Mom, look, she's suckling them. I know it's really hard to see. They are there. Well, they are roughly the size of my hand, tail and all. So a tiny, tiny, tiny little creature, a fierce predator. Here they come. Look, look, look. Oh, did Mom just pick one up? She did. She grabbed one of them. Now, when we first encountered this particular set of pups, it was not too far away from where we are now, and watching the poor adults carry the little ones, gather them up and put them back in their hole was like watching them trying to herd wet cats. As soon as they grabbed one pup and put it in the termite hole, another one would emerge and dash off, so the adult would go and grab that one and then go back again. And it was terribly, terribly amusing and entertaining. There we go, I can just see them. The little ones have popped back out again. Oh, they're all over the place this afternoon. Their Mom's taking one away again. Oh, up and down, up and down. She's trying to keep them gathered. We will patiently wait for when we have a chance to get a good view of them, because yesterday when I sat with this particular family, there they are, the little babies were coming right up to our vehicle. They're very bright, very curious little creatures, and the whole family of dwarf mongoose is invested in looking after them. Bounce, bounce, bounce. You know, little ones. Here we go. They're dashing through the long grass. They found themselves a perfect little hiding hole, because when you're only a couple of ounces or a couple of 100 grams and very, very small, everything out here is out to get you. And remember, what you are watching is happening right here and right now. And not only are we completely live, but we're also 100% interactive, which means that you can send through your questions on hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. I'm going to be patiently waiting for our little dwarf mongoose pups to pop out once again so you can see how cute they are. In the meantime, it seems as though Ronald has found some friends.
Is that not just too special, those little pups? I think that they're magnificent. I'm so pleased that Jamie's found them. Now, let's go to Ronald's feed. Ronald there has got some impala. They're coming down to drink, and interestingly, we've only seen one on the actual drive itself, but this gives you an idea how many impala there are here. They are by far the most common antelope in the entire Kruger National Park, and there they are. They're the little ones in front, born just probably 2 weeks ago. Oh, that's wonderful. This is my favourite time of the year, everybody. It's just rather too cute. There's a Nyala. That's astounding. Ronald's new friend, Nigel the Nyala, has just gone past the front of his face. Hello, Nigel. Please greet Ronald. Don't show him only your backside. A Nyala, well, slightly bigger than an impala, totally different species entirely. Have a look from the dam. There we go. A great mixed species of, well, great group of mixed species coming down to have their evening drink, grazing next to the water because that's where the grass is greenest. And isn't this wonderful? As I said at the beginning, a landscape filled with beauty and abundance. And those little impala are just some of my favorite creatures to find out here. We've had baby monkeys today, we've had baby impala, we've had baby mongoose, we've had baby hardidars, and, well, maybe 3 months from now, we're going to have more baby leopards. Now, what I'm going to try and do, if we can, is pan. Let's go back to Ronald, and I just want to show you, everybody, he's got another friend called Ian the Egyptian goose, but mostly I wanted to show you that sky. Is that not too fantastic? Look, a gorgeous African rainstorm coming in from the west. How stunning. And this is why summer is the most exciting time of the year to be out here in the African wild. Beautiful. Now, we've got a little story to tell you about how it is that those little impala came to be, and how it is, in fact, that so many of the little antelope and other herbivores have produced their babies at this time of the year. Take a look at this.
Every year, there is an air of expectation as the first rains fall and the new grass paints the landscape green. For many herbivores, the time to birth a new generation is near.
Look at her on the left. Oh, the baby just kicked.
And then, one day, nature's greatest miracle unfolds.
This is a zebra giving birth. This is a zebra giving birth. Look at that. There's it comes. It's coming out. Look at that little zebra about to be born. There's the head. Oh, you clever mare. Well done. It's born, everyone. It's born and it's alive and it looks fine.
New life is born to the African soil.
That impala has literally just popped out. Look at her eating the afterbirth. Very high in protein, so she's going to regain some of the nutrients she's lost carrying a baby. It helps disguise the area from predators. Instinct is taking over. It wants to stand up. There we go, first on 4 legs. The first steps ever of this tiny baby impala. They are very wobbly. It's hard to think by the end of the day it's going to be running around.
Within minutes, the lambs, calves and foals are up, and then, as all young mammals love to do, play. The birthing season is surely one of nature's most impressive celebrations.
Is that not special? And this is why this time of the year is so absolutely astounding. This is a zebra skull. Mercifully not the ones you saw there being born, or the mother. Don't know where this one came from. Let's head straight back to Jamie and her baby puppy mongoose.
Aren't these little babies utterly adorable? And it is so fantastic to see the bush teeming with life. These little dwarf mongoose are keeping VM thoroughly busy this afternoon. This is why I think that our live wildlife cameraman, look at them having a fight. Our live wildlife cameramen are probably amongst some of the best in the entire world, because when it's live and when you're filming animals like this, when some of your subjects move very fast or have wings, you've got to be on on your toes. One of the things that we love to ask people when we sit in moments and enjoy moments like this is for a one-word description of how it makes you feel. And in this particular case, I'm talking specifically about one word that describes the way in which you feel about all of the little babies that we've seen on this afternoon safari, or in Brent's case, I suppose, the potential making of future babies. I'm going to lead the example with my particular one word, and my one word is going to be profoundly grateful. Unbelievably grateful. Having been through the incredible drought that we have been through and the really, really tough times when it comes to rain, watching the animals struggle to find food, struggle to find nutrients, to see nature being as resilient as she has been, has made me very, very grateful indeed. But send through what you feel after seeing all of these little ones. One word. You can do that. You can tweet that through on #safariLIVE. And let's hear from all of you, because remember, because this is live, it is like you are sitting on the back of the vehicle with us, although I have to admit your view is somewhat better than mine at this stage, with all of the mongoose darting about. They are so incredibly tiny, but just look at that bright-eyed curiosity. I have to tell you that we now know exactly how old these pups are, because they've just started following the adults, and the adults don't want to have any of it, which puts them at around 4 weeks of age, because that is when dwarf mongoose pups first start to explore with the adults. So they might poke their noses out of the den site every now and again. Oh, it's chaos here. Mom's here, it's time to suckle, it's time to run around and explore, fight with your sisters or brothers. It is such a big wide world from a mongoose's perspective. Can you imagine being that tiny and viewing this world for the first time? So much learning to do. There's just constant movement. And we're so lucky because they are such trusting little creatures, which is why we're able to get so close to them. Hey, gorgeous. Of course, speaking of trusting creatures, one of the animals that we get to spend enormous amounts of time with on our live safaris is the leopards. We've come to know them incredibly well. Let's go back to Brent and join them.
Look at that, he just passed right underneath Brian. That was no more than half a foot from Brian. Isn't that amazing? Now, they're still on the move, still mating as they move. There is the Queen of Djuma, Karula. Now she's up, she's going to follow him. Isn't this incredible? We're bringing you this live from South Africa. This is happening at the exact same time. We are watching it right now. Isn't this absolutely amazing? Who would have thought technology would be able to bring you the absolutely incredible African creatures from the other side of the world? Okay, they're on the move now. I'm going to keep following them. Oh, we can hear some guinea fowls alarm calling. So alarm calling is what most animals do when they see a predator. So if an impala will snort. Birds will have different first chirps. And there we go. Let's have a quick look at them. They've spotted the leopards, and they're a bit upset about the leopards being around. Let's see if they do that alarm call again. There we go. Well, that one's stopping for a snack. Don't you know there's some cats around? Very strange birds. A little bit bigger than a hen. Brian, can you see those leopards? Just. Have they lain down again? Let's just try reposition. Say when, Brian? Right behind this stump here. So, oh, there we go. There she is moving. Coming up this way. Looks like they might be a little bit mating again. Well, Natalie in DC is wondering, what do males do to attract the attention of females? Well, they just be the big dominant male, and what that means is they control the territory, keep it safe from other males, and they want to hold that territory for a long time, so then the females feel safe to bring up babies. And we are about to go to another break, but remember, we're going to be right here with these leopards, so rush off, grab a drink, and come right back for the rest of Safari Live. Brian, I think you're going to get massive orders for the four-leaf clover thumb because the luck has just been incredible today. It has indeed. We're going to try reposition now. Hopefully they don't go too much further in here because this is a really thick area. Oh, watch out for the jumping sticks, Brian. Isn't it wonderful to see these leopards surrounded by greenery after this long drought we've had? Now, as I was saying, you can see there's about the sun's sort of disappearing. There is a massive storm brewing to the south of us, and there's even a big one brewing to the east, but that massive storm is starting to throw some cover over us. Look at that. It's getting quite dark and ominous down there in the south. And then off to the east, a bit further away, but there's a wonderful, there we go, the fluffy cumulus clouds starting to anvil in the distance, that pure white. Now the winds inside those clouds are capable of ripping the wings off a jumbo jet. So if you're a jumbo jet pilot, I suggest flying around them. But we're going to stick with what we know, which is not flying jumbo jets, and it's leopards. And it is a really, really fascinating thing, having Karula mate. Now, there's lots of different theories about why. Some people have pondered the theory that she could be mating to protect the cubs from Tingana. Now, I've seen Tingana in sightings with those cubs. I mean, he growls at them a bit, but he's never showed any sign that he would kill them. There is a possibility, because Karula's getting older, that her hormones might be playing up a little bit. That is a possibility. So her estrous cycle might have come earlier. There is the possibility that she's been separated for long enough that she thinks she might have lost the cubs, but I think that's unlikely. I think this just might be a funny estrous cycle. And it's going to be really fascinating to see if she goes back towards the cubs once she has finished mating. Now, unfortunately for us, they are south of our boundary, so we're unable to really see what's going on. We just get snippets of information from the other guides. Oh, bite that fly, Karula. Now, I noticed something a bit earlier. It's difficult to see now. It looked like she might have broken a canine, and I was trying to remember if I had seen her with a broken canine before, but I think it was bottom left, if I remember correctly. I mean, but for a leopard of her age, she looks spectacular. I mean, her ears aren't too tattered, and she's only got a slight break on that bottom left canine, just the tip. She is in incredibly great condition, considering how old she is. Now, with Hosana and Xongile, I have heard of leopard cubs becoming independent at 9 months old. So it's not impossible that they can survive from there. It just does make life a little bit more difficult for them. Quite peaceful now, lots of birds calling. We've got woodlands, kingfisher, magpie shrikes, rattling cisticulars, tawny flanked prinias, some arrow-marked babblers in the distance. Every day I'm lucky enough to go out into the African bush and follow these incredible animals. It is truly a very special privilege, and one of the few people in the world who really truly gets to do what they love. Now we're still with these incredible leopards. They've stopped in a beautiful little open glade. There seems to be a little bit of calm now, but as we've seen with these mating leopards, that changes in a matter of minutes. So we've got to keep an eye on the female. She's initiating. Remember, this is live from the African bush, and it is so exciting to be able to share this with you all. And I'm watching very carefully what they're up to over my shoulder. And remember that we've got Jamie who's out there, and if I remember correctly, she's with Dwarf Mongoose. We've got Steph on foot, James in the tent, and you might have noticed another safari vehicle with me. Now, there are other safari lodges here, and they are also enjoying this incredible leopard sighting with us. So we're very, very lucky we had them to ourselves. There we go. She's up again.
Kill sound, kill sound. Hello everybody, back in the tent. We're just going to quickly turn off the echo. Good, here we are. It's lovely to be back here in the tent, and I'm just going to show you a little bit about where we are. I'm very sorry about that sort of jump cut here. We are, of course, completely live in the African wilderness, which is, of course, why I'm coming into the tent, well, through the window. I mean, who does that in polite company at all? We're going to have a look, a little map here of where everyone is. Now, of course, the reason we're doing the map is so that you can see where everyone is, and, of course, because I'm the world's greatest artist, and it would be a dreadful shame for me not to share my talent with you right now. Now, over here, Brent Leo Smith is... There he is. He's just had a haircut, so we'll give him his nice new hair. Very beautiful, of course. And he is sitting with two kitties, one substantially larger than the other. There we go. No, they're not lions, Hendry. There we go. There we go, that's Karula. She's got a little crown because she's the Queen of Juma. That's where they are. We're over here in the tent. Very nice. There's David. David's also got quite long hair, actually. Very nice. Stefan Winterboer is down knocking about here. Now, of course, the most notable thing about Steph, of course, is his very large muscles and complete absence of any sort of hair. And then we have the elegant antelope of Jamie Patterson with her mongoose around here. She's not really wearing a skirt. It's just an easiest way to designate a lady, of course. And that's where everyone is. So we're all sitting on Juma at the moment. Juma's about 3,000 acres in extent, and you can see where we're all spread out with the magnificent animals here. Now, as I said to you before, an enormous storm coming in from the west. Take a look at it from the air. Now, isn't that very special indeed? You can see the mast from which we are broadcasting to you. My voice is coming to you through there. You can see the kind of green tinge that has touched this landscape after one of the worst droughts in living memory. Last summer, the hottest apparently in 104 years. Of course, every time you have a hot summer, people say that, but that's just what they said last year, and it certainly felt like it. Now, as Connor moves gently off to the west there, you can see the storm coming in. That's the Drakensberg Mountains, our most famous mountain range, far in the distance there. Just a purple tinge on the sort of mid to right-hand side of the screen, and then a gorgeous green tinge that's just over the landscape as a result of probably, I guess, 5 or so inches of rain that we've had in the last little while. So that's a look at what is probably one of the world's most famous and the most beautiful wilderness areas. Let's head straight back to those wonderful leopards with Brent Leo Smith.
Well, sorry about disappearing there. I'm not sure exactly what happened. The leopards are still lying in that wonderful open glade. I've just moved a little bit. I've decided it must be a vulture or a big African bird of prey that stopped our signal from our vehicle to our antenna. We do apologize, but sometimes these things happen. And the amazing thing is we are live in the African bush, but we try to make sure that never happens. But we're sorry it did. But guess what? We're still with the leopards. Remember the hashtag safariLIVE. If you want to ask us any questions, and you would have seen a game drive vehicle just behind me. There are other lodges out here, so there are other people enjoying these incredible sightings while they stay in the Greater Kruger National Park, an 8.5 million acre unfenced wilderness area for these incredible creatures to live free and without pressure and threats from man. Hi Jules in DC, Jules is wondering, what is a leopard's gestation period? Jules, all the big cats, and even small cats for that matter, have very short gestation periods. It's between 90 and 110 days. And the reason for this is that they have such high mortality rates. And pretty much 50 to 70% of all the little leopard cubs born in this particular area of the Sabi Sands fall prey to various different creatures before they're a year old. Now, strangely enough, the reason a female leopard mates with so many different males and moves up to 4 territories over when she is mating with males is because the biggest killer or known killer of leopard cubs in this part of Africa is other male leopards. Generally, they are what we call dispersal male leopards, not dominant male leopards, and they will be moving, trying to find their own territory. So they could be young, or they could be old and they could have been displaced out of their territory. So out of the recorded leopard cub mortalities, 70% of those leopard cub mortalities in this area are from other male leopards killing cubs. And it's not unusual for the male leopards to even eat the cubs when they do kill them. Now, this might seem quite harsh to us human beings, but we must remember out here, survival is everything. And the most important thing for all these animals is to get their genetic line passed on. So if a male leopard, new male dominant leopard comes into an area, he kills a female's cubs within 3 or 4 days, sometimes, normally about 2 weeks though, she will come into estrus and she'll start mating again. So he has now made the best possible choice for his genetic line to continue. Now we're going to sit with these leopards, and if they move anywhere or get up to anything, we will be right here to bring them to you. But Steph seems to be finding all the creatures that might make you feel a little bit nervous if you found them in your home.
Talking about sitting at leopards, I'm busy sitting over here in the bush enjoying the sunset that came out from behind the clouds for just a brief instant. While I was sitting over here, I noticed 2 small things. One I can't quite explain, the other one I can explain, although it's so small we may or may not see it, but I'm going to try and go for it anyway because it is quite awesome. First, I'm going to try and show you what is possibly one of the smallest scorpions I've ever seen in my life, which is hiding underneath this piece of grass right now. I'm going to try and lift it up. Hopefully it'll still be there without stinging me. Yes? No, don't do that. There we go. Have a look at this tiny scorpion. That what you're looking at there is the sting of a baby olive thick-tailed scorpion. And that is... wait. Quite a poisonous scorpion, which is why I put it down. A tiny one like that probably wouldn't be able to sting me with any meaningful intent to do me any harm, although I'm not going to take any chances, to be quite honest. I've been stung by one of them before and it burns like you cannot believe. Imagine taking a piece of steel, like a piece of wire, heating it with a lighter until it goes red hot and then sticking it in your arm. That's pretty much what one of those feels like when it stings you. And while not of medical importance to a person of my size, I don't really want it to sting me anyway. The other thing that I can't explain so readily is this. This is a soldier termite and he looks paralyzed or dead. This is how big they get. Have a look over here. Isn't that just a fearsome creature? He probably was picked up by a bird and then dropped because he bit the bird or some other such fate. But this, when you're in the bush, is such good food to eat. If you were in a survival situation and needing something like a termite or needing something like some protein and fat, very difficult to get out here in the bush, but these make for the best bush tucker out there. Cardboard, wood chips, crunchy, bit fatty, a little bit of an acidic aftertaste there. But not bad at all. I think, while I finish my mouthful of termite, James has got something quite interesting to show you in the tent.
No, I'm not going to do what Steph did. That's just disgusting. This is a scorpion, a Pistithalmus glabifrons. What a lovely name that is. There he is. I'm going to quickly put him under the microscope and show you his vicious sting. This chap is not particularly poisonous or venomous, well, especially now that he's popped his clogs. He's dead, isn't he? So he can't really sting us anymore. And there is his vicious sting, and what you've got behind the sting there is the venom gland, and that's where all the venom is stored. Look at those hairs. They've got a very fancy name, which now escapes me entirely. Anyway, that's the idea of what sticks into you if you happen to grab one of these fellows when he is underneath the ground. Now, Jamie Patterson, I think, has got a vision for you. Let's go and take a look.
A vision in purple and blue and green and white and all sorts of a wide variety of colours. This is definitely, hands down, one of the most beautiful birds that we get out here, and I'm glad that for the last few minutes of our safari, this could be the one that we get to share with you. I think that he's gone. Look at that. VM, you're a star. Amazing. A lilac-breasted roller disappearing off into the distance. Now, we've had all sorts of amazing small sightings and a lot of babies, and I asked you earlier for a one-word tweet, and Crystal, you say that your word is special. And it has been unbelievably... Oh, it's Christy, sorry. Christy, you say that your one-word tweet to describe the presence of all of these babies and the sort of the flourishing of the bush is special. So thank you very much for that, Christy. I have something else that's very special, and that is the build-up of yet another storm on the horizon. The massive cumulus clouds building up to the east. Isn't that beautiful? And that is normal summer weather, and that in turn is what suggests to me that we might be at the end of our drought, finally. And those of you perhaps in California, you'll understand what it's like to go through a very, very serious drought and the way in which it feels. Just know that here in South Africa, we sympathize with all of you. We've just been through it. Right. Time for us to head off into the evening. Let's go back over to Brent for the last few minutes spent with his leopards.
And we're still with the incredible couple, Tingana and Karula. Such a fascinating story playing out here at the moment, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the future. And I look forward to seeing what's going on. That's the amazing thing about being out in the African bush every day and also being live. I get to learn with you. I get to see things that have never been seen, never been recorded. We are incredibly lucky to be able to share this with all of you and live. So there's no scripting, there's no setting anything up. It happens as it happens, and that is the only way I'd like it. And it has been wonderful having you with us, and we are coming towards the end of our show, but I think you definitely would much rather look at the leopards for a little bit longer than looking at me. So we'll have quite a nice long look at the leopards, and now that they're nice and stationary, you can see those wonderful colorations, those exquisite rosettes. Absolutely beautiful. And you can see, there we go, there's the male, almost probably about 50% bigger than the female, probably weighing also probably about 100 pounds more than Karula. And I think they are coming towards the end of their mating. They are both looking quite hungry. You can see those little concave bellies. Can we see his wound yet, Brian? Yeah, is this the right side? Yes. Well, we can't really see it from that angle, but that tuft of fur there's a little gash that he got while mating with the Queen of Djuma. Okay, now we are, as I said, coming to the close of the show. It has been absolutely spectacular having you with us. So from the Killer Bees, it's been killer, and of course the rest of the incredible safariLIVE crew, and the lucky thumb with the four-leaf clover. We're going to leave you with the leopards for the last few minutes of show. Our incredible trackers that have been out here all day. And of course, if you've enjoyed this immersion into African wildlife, we will be starting an 8-week series on the 1st of January, coming to you live every Sunday night on NatGeo Wild, and I can't wait to follow the story of these incredible cats here in the Greater Kruger National Park, South Africa. So from all of us here at safariLIVE, we will see you in January.